Every civilization that ever existed had to solve the same problem. How do you kill something faster than you can reach it? Every culture on Earth arrived at the same answer. A shaped piece of wood, hurled through the air. Throwing sticks appeared in Europe, Africa, Asia, the Americas. Independently, without contact, without any knowledge of each other. And then there is Australia, where something happened that happened nowhere else on Earth. The stick came back. Every continent invented the throwing stick. Only one invented a throwing stick that returns to the hand that threw it. The answer is not about aerodynamics. It is not about one inventor or one moment of genius. The answer is about time. And what time does to knowledge. Aboriginal Australians have lived continuously on this continent for at least 65,000 years. All of recorded human history, every empire, every war, every written word, fits into roughly 5,000 years. Aboriginal Australians were on their continent 13 times longer than that before a single word was written anywhere on Earth. 65,000 years of solving problems. Watching what worked, teaching children, watching children improve, passing it forward again. Not one generation, not 10, roughly 2,500 generations of refinement. Each one inheriting the knowledge of everyone before and adding something to it. That is the environment in which the returning boomerang was created. Not a workshop, not a laboratory. 2,500 generations of accumulated attention paid to the behavior of shaped wood in flight. Before asking how it was invented, understand why it is so difficult to invent at all. The returning boomerang is one of the most aerodynamically complex handheld tools ever produced by any culture in human history. Each arm is shaped into a specific profile. One side curved, the other flat. The same cross-section as an airplane wing. As the boomerang spins in flight, one arm always moves faster through the air than the other. Faster movement creates more lift on that side. Unequal lift creates a twisting force that should flip the object over, but it does not flip. A spinning object resists force differently. It shifts its axis 90 degrees away from the applied force instead of tilting into it. Gyroscopic precession. The same principle that keeps a bicycle upright when moving. The boomerang does not flip. It turns until the path closes into a full loop and the weapon drifts back. 3 conditions must be met simultaneously. The airfoil must generate lift. The weight must allow precession. The arm angle must close the flight path. Change any one of those by a small margin, and it does not return. How someone built this without theory, without mathematics, without writing is one of the more remarkable puzzles in the history of technology. To understand what makes Australia different, look first at everywhere else. The throwing stick is not an Australian invention. It is a human one. In 1994, archaeologist Hartmut Thiem found wooden throwing sticks in northern Germany, 300,000 years old, made by Homo heidelbergensis, a species that predates our own. Not curved, not returning. Shaped wood designed to be hurled with lethal force. In a cave in southern Poland, archaeologists found a throwing stick carved from the tusk of a woolly mammoth, 72 centimeters long, carefully shaped. A 2025 study led by researcher Sara Talamo dated it to between 39,000 and 42,000 years old. Someone living through the last ice age carved a precision hunting weapon from mammoth ivory because survival required precision. When Howard Carter opened the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922, he found dozens of throwing sticks among the pharaoh's burial possessions, some ceremonial, others plainly functional, made for hunting waterfowl in the Nile marshes. The Hopi of the American Southwest threw curved sticks called rabbit sticks to strike small game at shin height. In India, a weapon called the Valari served the same purpose. Every continent, every culture, the same tool. But not one of them made it come back. That belongs only to Australia, and most people do not know there are actually 2 objects sharing one name. The first is the Kylie, the non-returning throwing stick. A hunting Kylie weighs between 400 grams and 2 kilograms. Thrown at over 70 kilometers per hour, it delivers more than 100 joules of kinetic energy, comparable to a blow from a heavy axe. Aboriginal hunters used Kylies to fracture the leg bones of kangaroos at distances approaching 180 meters. No metal, no mechanism, one piece of shaped hardwood and the knowledge of how to use it. The returning boomerang evolved from the Kylie, through generations of makers noticing that certain shapes caused the weapon to curve more than expected, and refining that property further. The manufacturing process shows exactly how precise that knowledge had become. Boomerang makers did not select straight timber. They selected wood from the natural junction of a tree root and trunk, where the grain already follows a curve. Wood is strongest when force runs along the grain. A curve carved from straight timber snaps on impact. A curve carved from a naturally bent section holds through thousands of throws. After rough shaping with stone tools, the maker heated the wood slowly over coals, just enough to make it pliable, then bent it carefully by hand while the fibers were soft. Then the cross-section was scraped into the airfoil profile. Each arm shaped, weighted, and angled with enough precision to meet all three conditions of return flight. This is not accident. This is engineering, transmitted through spoken instruction across generations without a single written word. Dietrich Stout at Emory University found through neuroimaging that brain regions used during complex tool manufacture overlap with regions used for language and hierarchical planning. A returning boomerang cannot be built from watching alone. You need someone to explain which wood, which bend, which angle produces which result. The knowledge is verbal before it is physical. The teaching is the technology. The boomerang is not a piece of wood. It is a compressed record of every correction, every refinement, every conversation passed between makers across 2,500 generations. One final piece of this story tells you everything. Aboriginal Australians knew about the bow and arrow. They had direct contact with bow-using peoples to their north. They chose not to adopt it. The bow requires separate wood, string, arrows with hafted points and fletching, a different manufacturing chain for every component. The boomerang requires one piece of the right wood and the knowledge of how to shape it. For a people covering enormous distances on foot, the simpler toolkit that did the same job was the superior toolkit. They did not fail to discover the bow. They evaluated it and declined. Every continent invented the throwing stick. Why did only Australia invent one that comes back? Not because of superior intelligence. Because 65,000 years of unbroken occupation, with a knowledge system capable of transmitting complex technical information across 2,500 generations without writing, produced something that cannot be rushed. Depth of attention. 65,000 years of throwing things, watching what happened, and caring enough to remember it, refine it, and pass it forward. Modern science needed a 555-page doctoral thesis to explain mathematically what the boomerang does in flight. Aboriginal Australians encoded the same knowledge in wood, without a single equation, at least 10,000 years before that thesis was written. The oldest university had no walls, no written curriculum. Just a teacher, a student, a piece of bent hardwood, and enough time to get it exactly right. Most civilizations found an answer to the problem and moved on. Only one kept refining that answer for 65,000 years. And that is the difference between a tool and a tradition.